Hi, my name is Nick Coons, and I'm the token Libertarian on the panel. I've lived in District 5 my entire life, was born here in the Valley, and I've been married for over 9 years to my wife, Crystal, who some would say I've imported because she's from Canada. I'm a small business owner, been self-employed for over 13 years now. I have a couple retail locations, business is going well. And the reason I'm running is primarily because I like to talk about ideas, because I think the reason that people act the way they do is because of the ideas that they hold in their mind. And so the way we can change the nature of the system and our country for better is to change the way people think, to put the right ideas out there. Thank you.
Have you read the 16 pages of the Arizona immigration law? Do you support the legislation? And then finally, how would you respond to those who would assert that this law is un-American or unconstitutional?
I have read it. I do not support it, primarily because I don't think it does anything to actually address the issue. I think we have a real problem with immigration, and the problem is that the immigration system is entirely too complex. Having gone through the process myself with my wife, one of the arguments is that, well, we don't mind people coming into the country, we just wish that they would go through the legal process. Well, if you know what the legal process is, you know that there's virtually no way to do it for most people around the world. You either have to marry someone or find one of half a dozen other ways to enter the country. You can't just decide, I want to take advantage of the work opportunities that exist in the United States. I want to go there, start a life, start a business, and work hard. You just cannot do it. The system is not written to allow that.
So Nick, you have 45 seconds. Please, how would you respond to those who would claim that the law is un-American?
I think the United States was built on people coming to this country who wanted to come here for additional opportunities, who wanted additional work and to better their lives and those lives of their families. So I would think that embracing people who want to move here to have work opportunities is very American. Obviously, for actually solving the issue, I would do what Milton Friedman would suggest by pulling back any kind of taxpayer subsidies from people who come here. Those should be available only to citizens, if anybody. Yeah, I do recognize that there are a lot of people coming into this country who are looking for taxpayer benefits. They want to be able to send their children to public school without paying into the system. They want to be able to get free health care. Those things absolutely all need to be taken away. Those things should not be funded by taxpayers. Anyone who wants to come here should be having to fund themselves. They should have to pay for that themselves. They should be coming here looking for work. If we get rid of the subsidies so that they're not options, so that they're not available, then the only people coming here will be the ones who are going to support themselves because there's no other option.
All too often, candidates, the good intentions of candidates, quickly become the forgotten promises of elected officials. Should you become elected, what controls, mechanisms, or processes can we count on you to have in place to ensure that you remain accountable to us, your constituents?
How many of you have ever voted for a candidate and 6 months later they rip your heart out?
Well, I can't say I've ever voted for a candidate that has turned around and ripped my heart out before. I've always voted Libertarian, so that's you can interpret that however you like. I don't know if there are any real silver bullets to this one. I mean, it's a really complex issue because the problem is that in the House race, you're voted on every 2 years. I mean, you can get in office, and even if you just do what you say you were going to do for 6 months, you've still got 18 months to really screw up before someone can get rid of you. So I think things that need to be put in place are things that prevent representatives from enacting laws that are shielded. One of the problems that we have right now is a law will be proposed, or a bill will be proposed, that is about one particular subject that everyone agrees must pass. And then 1,000 other unrelated things will be attached to it, and those things will all pass because it's attached to the first one that must pass. No one wants to vote against that. So I would introduce a single subject rule into Congress that would require that any bill proposed can only cover one subject at a time. That means that every bill that someone wants to pass has to either stand or fall on its own merits. I think that's one of the ways that can really work. As far as me personally, I don't know, maybe I'd have someone follow me around with a webcam and put it on YouTube 24/7 so you always know what I'm doing. I don't know that there are any great answers for government accountability, just because we've tried that so many times, and we've gone over everyone promises transparency and it never happens. One of the things that's important about libertarianism is that it's based on a core philosophy with a very solid and well-founded set of principles. A lot more of that you can find on my website. I just can't go into detail in that in 30 seconds. But one of the things that's really nice is you can look at a candidate's position, especially someone who claims to be a libertarian, and see if their positions are consistent with that philosophy. So it's very easy to pinpoint when they're straying off and when they're not being consistent with their own principles.
Thank you, Nick. Candidates. The federal government has embarked on an unprecedented spending spree. This month, our country reached a staggering milestone. The national debt topped $13 trillion. To put that in perspective, if you were to spend $1 per second, it would take you about 412,000 years to rack up $13 trillion. Specifically, what steps need to be taken immediately and in the longer term to ensure the solvency of the United States?
I think the main problem is essentially Congress has a credit card without a limit on it. Right now, they spend money, they borrow it. If they can't borrow it, they, as David was mentioning, increase interest rates. And if that doesn't work, the Federal Reserve System ends up printing the money. So there's this endless fountain of money that Congress thinks is available all the time. And there's no motivation to fix anything as long as that stream of money is still there. If you have cash coming in all the time that you're able to just create out of nothingness, why do you have any motivation to fix any spending problems? You don't. You're not going to stop. So the only way we can get people in Congress to stop spending money that shouldn't be being spent is to cut off the stream, to turn the valve off. Those funds should not be there. One of the things that we recognize in the economy is that monopolies generally are bad things. When monopolies don't exist, when competition is freely available, we have better products and services at lower prices. We have a monopoly in our currency system. The Federal Reserve creates the dollar, and we have no choice about whether or not we use the dollar for our daily transactions. So if the Federal Reserve did not have a monopoly on creating the currency, people could shift and use whatever currency they liked. They could use whatever they wanted to spend and whatever anyone would accept. You could use gold and silver coins. You could use chickens if you wanted to. Whatever it was you thought was a good currency and someone wanted to exchange with you. That would work out really well. If you take away the monopoly status of the Federal Reserve System, then they have the incentive to actually compete in the market. Otherwise, they lose all their customers, their dollar holders.
Thank you, Nick.
Along the lines of competition, government right now has monopoly on far too many things. They have monopoly on our retirement planning in the form of Social Security, where over 12% of your paycheck is taken to fund a system that you may or may not want to use. We need competition in everything. There should be more competition in education, more competition in healthcare. If people can decide where they want to spend their money rather than having the government extract it from them and spend it for them, we have far better options, higher quality, and lower cost overall.